I was going to do a completely different episode topic today, one that a lot of people voted on in a poll that I sent out on my Instagram, but I didn't feel like it, so we're not going to do it today. But before we get into the bucket list things, high-low Buffalo, as usual, my high and low is a little bit like tied together. So my high is that on Sunday, I hung out the entire day with my home friends, and it was so freaking fun. We went to this winery. It's called Malibu Winery and Beer Garden, and it was $60 for a flight of 4 wines to try. And we got permanent jewelry, which is basically chains that you can get, and they will zap it. So there's no like clasp where you can unclasp the bracelet. Obviously, you can break the bracelet if you wanted to, but usually the cost of permanent jewelry is $120, at least what I saw in New York. And it was crazy that we were able to get permanent jewelry and a wine tasting for just $60. Obviously, I was skeptical about it because I was like, there's no way this jewelry is real. There has to be a catch. But there really wasn't. The jewelry is fully solid, and I was just so happy about it. Also, that same day, we watched La La Land. I was just in the mood for a movie like La La Land, so it was so good. All of us cried, and yeah. Honestly, the first time I watched it, I did not like it. I couldn't even get through the whole movie. And then the second time I watched it, I was definitely in the mood for like a musical / rom-com, and it just hit perfectly. Even though I did hang out and had a lot of fun with my friends yesterday, there's still a lot of guilt that I have whenever I do hang out with friends, at least in California, because my family's here and I do stay for a long chunk of time, but I, for some reason, still feel really guilty for going out. And so yesterday I actually flaked on my mom and my family's plans and hung out with my friends the whole day. And it was actually the first time and only time that I've gotten to hang out with all my friends since I've gotten here. So I felt like it was worth it, but I did feel a ton of guilt for doing that. And I think my mom was a little bit passive aggressive about it, which is fine. I completely get it. It was my fault for flaking on her last minute, but I'm happy that I still hung out with my friends. Okay, and Buffalo, it just happened this morning where I got into the kitchen and was making my breakfast, and I grab a cup to make my matcha latte. The cup that I grab in the cabinet is so freaking dirty, and I'm looking around and I'm like, what the heck, why is this plate in here when it's so dirty and it looks like nobody washed it? So then I went to go grab another cup, and that cup was dirty, and I was like, I think maybe my grandma forgot to wash the dishes. That was my thought. And I was like, okay, it's okay. Sometimes as you get older, you forget. So I move those dishes to the sink. And then my grandma comes in and she sees the dirty dishes in the sink. And then she was like, oh, I left those out because I want to prove to your mom that the washing machine doesn't actually work. She put basically all the dishes from the dishwasher, even though they weren't fully clean, and she put them all in the cabinets just so that she could be a little bit petty. And when my mom sees the dishes, she'll be like, yeah, that's what your dishwasher does. So bucket list. I'm obsessed with lists, and I love checking them off. I'm not sure if anyone's surprised that I do have a bucket list for myself. I don't know how popular these things are. I don't even know if a lot of people know what these are, but basically a bucket list is a list of things that you want to do before you die. Starting off with the list of things that I've experienced that are just top experiences in my life that I feel like people should experience for themselves. Okay, so first are hikes, and I'm going to be very specific with the types of hikes that I've done that were truly the most memorable. I am a huge hiker. I've done many hikes, but I think the most special hikes I've done are first a sunset slash night hike. So you basically hike to see the sunset and then you hike back in the night. It's such a like quiet and like peaceful time during the day that not a lot of people hike during. And I also think it's a little bit unsafe, so it makes it even more, exciting of a hike. I did a hike with my friends at Joshua Tree where we hiked during the sunset and then we walked back during the night, and it was so peaceful. The moon was like so bright, and it was just bright enough to light up our path, but still like be a little bit dangerous because we couldn't really see what was going on. Another hike that I love doing is hiking to a waterfall. The hike itself is really enjoyable for me, but it's even more special when you have a destination to get to, and waterfalls are just like so amazing. They're so cool. I know it's just like a ton of water like falling over like a rock, but I think it's like literally so pretty, especially if you see a gigantic one. And finally, hiking in an area where there aren't man-made structures like telephone poles, bridges, fences, things like that. Stairs, it's a completely different experience, and it feels like you're in another world. When I say we, I mean humans. We did a really good job of, taking over most of the world, and I feel like we're just always in an area where you'll always see a man-made structure, and it's very domesticated in a way. So it's really special. I feel like whenever I can do a hike in an area where it feels or looks more untouched by humans. Another experience is go-karting. So I don't know how common this is, but I went to this go-kart amusement park, I think. So freaking fun. Like to be able to drive insanely fast without worrying about cops. I also loved off-roading. You should definitely put off-roading on your bucket list. Something about like these exhilarating driving experiences. I really love them. It's like fun being able to go against the rules when you know that like every day you get into a car, you have to follow a million sets of rules. You can't go above the speed limit. So when you're in a situation where you can get off the road and go on like this bumpy trail or speed up way faster than you should be, I think it's really fun. Getting a pet is a very fun life experience. Solo traveling as well. Solo traveling is such a special thing to do. It has its like highs and lows, but I think it's a very essential human experience to have because you get to really sit with yourself and go through very uncomfortable things on top of like traveling to a new place. Like traveling is a little bit uncomfortable because you're experiencing a new area, but doing it alone is even more uncomfortable. And there's a lot of like special things with it, like being able to fully take in an experience for yourself. Also, flying business or first class is really cool. I've never done first class before, but I did business and it was out of default because my aunt got really lucky and got upgraded to business class. And then she gave me her seat because I had a panic attack during that airplane ride, and the business class was just so nice. Even though I was panicking and not feeling great mentally, like to be able to sit in a really giant chair and get really cool flight food was really fun. I also was able to network with people during that flight. Even though I was like this little girl, I networked with this like really old businessman that ended up being really high up in this ramen company. Really random. Strawberry picking. I loved strawberry picking. It was so cute. There's just something about being a farmer for a little bit, not having to commit to the farmer life, but doing it for a little bit. That was really fun. Cliff jumping, such a good experience. So exhilarating. I did it a million times in Hawaii. Just make sure that you do it safe and that when you jump into the water, it isn't too shallow and that there aren't just like giant rocks at the bottom, because that is really not safe. And I would highly recommend cliff jumping in an area where it's common and popular to cliff jump. The next two are food related. Definitely top food experiences One is to go to a street food market, especially the types that are like really cheap and not like the Instagrammable, like smorgasbord, like food market, more of the hole in the wall, small business ones. Those ones are where you will get the best food and your wallet will be very, very happy. Also love doing food crawls where you go to multiple restaurants with a group of friends and you just split 1 or 2 dishes at these places. It's like one of my favorite things to do. So I highly recommend doing it at least once. Also, visiting a sea cave. Visit a sea cave at least once in your life. I don't know, there's something so special about it. The fact that it's like a naturally made room. Any beach with a sea cave is instantly my favorite beach. This one is on my bucket list because I grew up on the West Coast where where seasons don't really exist. So if you are in a similar situation, you should definitely check out the East Coast in the fall time. It is crazy how the trees look in the fall. It felt like I was looking at the world with like the saturation turned up by like 10. I also highly recommend going skiing and snowboarding at least once in your life. Literally so freaking fun. It's like a full day thing and then afterwards I feel so exhausted, but it's like the best feeling. And the food after going skiing or snowboarding, oh my gosh, so good. A really cool thing that I would also recommend experiencing and adding to your bucket list is going to a shooting range. This one's a little bit weird, but it's actually really cool. I think a lot of the things on my list are really special because like I see them a lot in the movies and I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. I think to myself like, I probably won't experience that, but these experiences that I've had make me feel like I'm living through a movie, and that's why it's really special to me. So shooting range, you can pretend you're in an action film, but obviously it's not going to be that exciting. You just like aim at something, but a shooting range actually, and also doing archery. So fun. I did it in like 6th grade for a camp. It really made me feel like Katniss from Hunger Games. So cool. I don't think I was that good, but it was awesome. Okay, so the next one is to go to a drive-in movie. Very nostalgic, even though I am too young to say that. Okay, so the last 3 things are nature things. One is to stand on top of a mountain. I was on top of the clouds. We actually were on top of the clouds. The mountain was tall enough that the peak was above the clouds. I think I cried because of how pretty it was. Also, make sure you don't forget to see an active volcano at least once in your life. Really cool, especially if you can get really close to it. And finally, Niagara Falls. There's 2 things you can do when you go see Niagara Falls. And also, if you didn't know, there's 2 sides to Niagara Falls. One side is in US and the other side is in Canada. The US one is, it's pretty, but it's not comparable to the Canada one. The Canada side is significantly better. Not even like 50% better, like 85% better. So good. 2 of the things you should do is 1, see it from the Canada side, and 2, there's like a mist walk where you can basically walk quote unquote under the falls so that you can feel the mist. It's insane how powerful it is. Like just the mist and like little bits of like runoff from the waterfall, like it blows you back. That's how strong it is, and it makes you feel so small. I think it's a little bit pricey, but I don't even think it's like more than $100. It's so worth it, and it's like maybe 10 minutes of your time, but it's really cool. Okay, I'm pretty sure you guys are tired of me going through lists at this point, but this is the last one for this episode. This is my bucket list that I've made and committed to ever since I was little. I think I started making this ever since I was in elementary school, actually. I am really intentional about putting things on this list because I want to be able to complete this. I'm not just playing around with this list. So I will feel very disappointed and feel like a bit of a failure if I don't go through everything in this list. I really had to make sure that I wanted to do this and that it was possible. First thing is to be able to write and publish a book. Ever since I was little, I've been obsessed with like reading, but also writing myself. And I did a lot of short stories for fun when I was little. And the next thing is to sell one of my art pieces. Recently, I've been getting into creating the things that I want to create and not copying other people's art. So it would be really freaking cool to be able to sell one thing. It doesn't matter how much I sell it for, but as long as it's my original art. Another item on my bucket list is to see the Arctic lights and also to see the polar stratospheric clouds. It's called PSC. So the Arctic lights, oh my gosh, they just look insane. And I just know I would love to see that. I'm like obsessed with just the sky. And then polar stratospheric clouds. So this one's a little bit interesting because it's a really rare occurrence. And I think it's when something happens with the ozone layer and then it creates this like rainbow cloud in the sky. It kind of looks like when, like if you're in a parking lot and then there's like oil on the ground and it becomes like rainbow-like. But imagine seeing that in the sky. And it's super rare to see. And if it does happen, it's not a good thing. It's because there's like issues with the environment. So I don't know. I want to see it, but it's not a good thing if I do see it. Another thing on my bucket list is to visit all national parks. This one's a really big goal. It's a really big ask, honestly. And there's going to be a lot of effort that goes into this. I think it is something I should and I have to do before I die. This one I've talked about in the past and I kind of tried to do, but didn't really successfully do, which is driving the one highway, the Pacific Coast Highway in California. I also want to fly a plane. I would love to get my pilot's license. It's not as expensive as I thought it was. I did the research and I know it's doable and it takes literally a few months. And I think it's like $5,000 to do a private plane, which would be freaking sick. I also really want to go skinny dipping. I'm pretty comfortable being naked. I kind of did it. I got really, really close to doing it, but I was technically in a bra and underwear, so it wasn't the same. Next is to go on a safari. So I'm not a big supporter or fan of zoos because they trap animals in a very confined and unnatural space. But I think safaris are completely different where you drive out to the space and like there's way more roaming area for the animals and it's much closer to their natural environment. I just think it'd be so cool for them to come up to you. I think it'd be so fun. I really, really want to crash a party or a wedding. I think that would be so freaking fun. I also really want to buy my mom, my grandma, my whole family first class seats on a plane and also a vacation trip. I've always wanted to do first class and it is really, really expensive. So it would be really cool and probably really rewarding to be able to buy that for them. I also really want to go to a sunflower field. I am obsessed with Van Gogh's sunflowers. I also know that his sunflower pieces have been inspired by this field in, I think, Amsterdam. I just really want to go to a sunflower field so bad. They're my favorite flowers, which is a little bit funny because I'm also allergic to flowers. But I think it'll be fine. Like if I just take my allergy medicine, I should be good. I also really want to learn how to surf. I also really want to learn how to skateboard, which this one I can kind of cross off because I got a skateboard with Mikey and I can semi do it. I'm not very good, but I can get from one block to the other side without completely making a fool of myself. So I could technically cross this out. There are also a few concerts that I really, really want to go to. First is Adele, and the second is Charlie Berg, two of my most favorite artists, Hippocampus and 1975 as well. Other things on my bucket list are to go on a blind date. I think that would be a really interesting experience. And also to stay in a really cool Airbnb and kind of just like splurge on a cool place to stay. I've seen some, like there's these like igloo huts or these like insane mansions in LA that you can also stay at. I think it'd just be so cool to be able to stay in one of those places for some reason. I also want to run in an empty field. Like those movie scenes that are really cheesy. I really want to go through that experience. I also really want to fly a kite. So I've done this before. It was with a kite that I made myself in middle school, but it was like a janky kite and it didn't really fly. It just kind of like, it was like a paper plane in a way. I really want to fly an actual kite. I think that's such a cute experience and not a lot of people do it anymore. Like I don't see it as often in the parks. And another thing on my bucket list, number 20, is to see the Winged Victory statue in the Louvre. The Louvre is a really famous museum in Paris. It has like the Mona Lisa and like other famous things, but I really want to see the Winged Victory because of the story behind it. And it's just like one of the art pieces that I'm obsessed with. A little bit about it is the Winged Victory is a Greek statue that was found broken. It's like a broken thing that people pay lots of money to go see and pay a lot of time and attention to go see. And it's like a metaphor, let's just say. Okay, number 21, I really want to trespass somewhere, which I don't know if I should be saying because it's like not legal to do this, but I really want to trespass somewhere. I also really want to paint a mural. You kind of leave your footprint on a place. I also want, okay, this is also illegal. I really want to graffiti a wall or something. I just want to graffiti something. Number 24 is to go to an actual haunted place. I know I sound a little bit psycho. Okay, honestly, this list is making me sound a little bit crazy, but whatever. And then finally, the last two are really want to see turtles hatch from their eggs on the shore and then walk into the water. I've gotten really close to seeing some because I was nearby some hatching areas. I don't remember. I like have this like memory of being at the beach and like accidentally finding some eggs that I wasn't supposed to find. And then we had to like leave them, but I never got to see them hatch. It's like a very specific thing I want to see and experience. And finally, I really want to get up close to a cow or sheep that's just randomly roaming on a random free range farm. Like when you go on road trips, it's pretty common in California where you could literally stop on the side of the road and like go up to somebody's cows and horses and sheep and whatever. I really want to go up to one. I don't know if the farmers will be happy about that, and I don't even know if they'd be okay with me doing that, but I just want to go up close to one, up close to a cow that's just lived a normal cow life. You know, not a cow that's been stuck in a little pen or in a zoo. I don't even know if there's cows in zoos, but so those are the 26 things on my bucket list. Hopefully this gigantic list of, I think, like over 70 things can inspire you to add a few more things onto your bucket list or even create a bucket list. And yeah, thanks for listening to this episode. Have a good rest of your week, and I will see you guys Sunday or Monday of the next week.